Hello, and welcome back to another edition of the Creamsicle Chronicle podcast. My name is JT Olson. With me, as always, my co host, Garrett Ballard. Garrett, hope you're enjoying opening week for
Oh,
baseball.
it's been pretty good. The Rays 1-1, can't really complain. Had an exciting one today. Brandon Lau hit a grand slam. How are the Tigers doing?
Wow, imagine rooting for a team that has lost a baseball game. Could not possibly relate.
Hey, I know how you feel. Last year, the Rays tied the record for the most consecutive wins to start a season. So,
I was
um,
honestly afraid we were going to start the same way against the White Sox. I have
yeah, that would have been.
very little faith in this team.
Yeah, the good thing is it's tough to be worse than the White Sox right now. That's for sure.
That's true. We set a very low bar, but we did clear it.
There you
So
go.
far, so
There
good.
you go. Yeah.
But we won't talk too much about baseball. We got all year to talk baseball. 162
Mhm.
games
True.
of my agony. It's going to be a long season. Let's talk what the people came to see, and that's Tampa Bay Buccaneer football.
That's right.
We are in the thick of our draft preview episodes. Last week we took a whole episode, just broke down the offensive line, the probably the biggest position of need. Looked at the tackles, looked at the interior guys. We looked at some running backs. If you're interested, go check it out. You can find us on YouTube. This week, looking at the defensive line, looking at the edge class, the pass rushers, the other big need in the draft for the Bucs.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't necessarily think that offensive line's the biggest, you probably think that the defensive line is the biggest need, specifically edge rusher. But that doesn't matter. We're going to talk about interior and edge rusher today. There's a lot of good prospects. It just so happens that the um, biggest positions of need that the Bucs have coincide with some pretty good prospects, pretty good classes on the first couple days. So we'll be going through some of those guys and highlighting why we think they might fit the Bucs and why we think the Bucs should be looking at them.
Yeah, and I don't think defensive line is totally out of the realm of possibility if the right guy falls.
Yeah.
I did do a dark horse potential first round pick article, and there was a defensive lineman in it. Someone we'll talk about tonight. Um, but let's get right into it. Do you want to do edge first, or do you want to talk about those defensive line guys?
Let's do D line first because I feel like edge is actually we spent more time on the first set last time, so let's do edge because I feel like that's going to be the more important group here.
All right, we'll start with the edge, the big need. Get right down to
Yep.
brass tacks.
Yep.
Um, so what we've done is we've picked our top eight, our eight highest ranked players, and we're just going to go through them. So Garrett, do the honors. Who is your eighth ranked edge rusher that we're going to look at here?
Oh, we're starting at the bottom. Okay, hold on.
Or did you want to start at the top?
I mean, I don't really mind. We can do either way. I was just at the wrong side of my sheet. My eighth ranked edge rusher is Darius Robinson.
Okay.
Now, this is a bit different from how I did it last week. I know but I've geared this list a bit more towards the Bucs rather than just overall. Since we are a Bucs podcast, I feel like that might be something that is appreciated. And one thing about those like early round picks that the Bucs make is you got to be athletic, and Darius Robinson did not test like a good athlete at edge rusher. Now, if you throw him on the inside, he's an elite athlete. But what the Bucs are looking for is not going to be the mold that Darius Robinson is right now. And he has that inside outside versatility that the Bucs love. But I'm not sure that the positional prowess is there with the positional versatility. I think he might be better inside right now, and edge rusher might come later, or he might be better at edge rusher right now, and a team doesn't even try him inside. But either way, I think we've seen it through kind of the combine invite or the combine interviews and top 30 visits and other things like that the Bucs really aren't that interested in Darius Robinson. I still think he's a good player. I think he's going to be a positive impact for a team. I just don't think that team is the Bucs.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I do have him ranked as a defensive lineman because I don't think the Bucs will view him as an edge because he doesn't clear that athletic threshold.
Yep.
He's going to be a nice edge / interior pass rusher for someone. A team who probably runs a 4-3. They're looking for a big edge / third down interior pass rusher. That's just not what the Bucs are looking for here. They may be a 5-tech, if they don't believe in Logan Hall, but primarily a true edge rusher on the outside.
Yeah.
So I agree with everything you said. I'll talk a little bit more about him when we get to defensive line. But my 8th ranked guy is kind of similar. He's a big body edge. I don't think he's going to be a Bucs target. I just don't think he has the athletic profile that they're looking for. And that is Washington's Braylon Trice.
Yeah, he just missed out for me. Powerful guy for sure. I just don't. That's kind of like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I felt like he's kind of a tweener in his style of game. Like, he's got good hands, and if he bulked up some, I think he could be a really good power rusher.
Mm-hmm.
Or if he trimmed up a lot, I think he could potentially be a good, speed rusher. He's just he's neither. He's a little bit of a power rusher, but not overpowering, and he's not particularly nimble to be a speed rusher. So he's kind of in no man's land for me, even though I really like the way he uses his hands. He was super productive in college. There's a lot I like about him as a college player, but I just don't see how those tools translate to the NFL as he is right now.
No, I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. I think he's pretty one-dimensional,
and
with a bit of limited upside. I don't see.
Oh, I think Garrett's.
Sorry, you can.
I think you were coming in and out there.
Oh, I am. Oh, that's my bad. I was just saying, I think he's a bit one-dimensional right now, and I don't really see a clear path to him diversifying that pretty easily. So.
Yeah, and he's just not the profile the Bucs are looking for. Again, it's just like Darius Robinson. Doesn't have the athletic thresholds. He's not explosive. He's not, overpowering. He's not Buccaneer material, and that's okay. Some other team might get a really nice rotational pass rusher, a guy similar to maybe an Anthony Nelson, and so someone might be really happy with that. But I just don't think he's necessarily a fit in Tampa.
Exactly. No, I'm 100% with you. All right.
So we've totally
7.
ruled out number 8 for both of us. So let's keep on rolling.
Yeah. So my number 7's actually someone that I like quite a bit. I think here up, I'm fans of. I'd say. I like my 8. I just don't think he's a good fit for the Bucs. But my 7 up, I feel like could all be in play for what the Bucs are looking for. And, JT, you and I have talked about this player before. My 7's Chris Braswell. I know this might be a little bit low. I don't know if you're similar, but really awesome run defender. Like, I think he is a just instant impact, like elite run defender at the next level. He is hard-nosed. He gets off blocks really well. He doesn't get tossed around. Stack and shed is great. High motor guy. I just don't see enough pass rush like upside or pass rush plan right now to have him any higher.
I mostly agree with you. I agree.
Sure.
Absolutely, he's going to be a stud run defender. He's big. He's powerful. He's got good length. I do see the upside just because he has the physical tools. I do think he can project to be a very good power rusher, unlike Trice.
I shouldn't have said upside. I was trying to find a word, and upside just kind of popped in my head. It's definitely not that. The right word was pass rush plan, and I kind of rehashed it. But yeah.
Yeah, that I definitely agree with. I'd love my first round pick edge rusher to have just an absolute bag of tricks he can pull out in terms of pass rush moves.
Yep.
And Braswell has like 1, maybe 2. And, they're really good. I really like the things he does. I just wish he had a counter and a counter to his counter. So when his power move doesn't work, he's got something else to go to.
Yep.
And, that'll always work for run defense. You want to hold the point of attack. You want to blow things up. That's great. And I would love to have that in the second round because I do think he has the high upside as a pass rusher if he can put it together. Just
I'm with you.
At 26, makes no sense to me. If he's there at 57, great.
I'm with you 100%. This is definitely not someone I would look at in the first round. This is also not someone I would look at if there was like a little trade down, right? I think it has to be at 57 for me to be like, yeah, that works. But I like the player a lot. I like the upside. I just don't think he's there yet.
Yeah, I totally agree. Honestly, I view him similar to how I viewed Yaya last year.
Yeah.
Yaya being more athletic even.
Yeah.
But I felt like a lot of times Yaya didn't have a plan coming out of college, and I thought he really overachieved compared to what I was expecting. So
I'm
if
with
we
you.
can get another Yaya Diaby type, I'd be very happy with that.
That's a good pick then.
All right, my number 7, because I do have Braswell a little bit higher, and I know
Sure.
this is one that you really like, Adisa Isaac.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Isaac. I'll talk about him in a bit when he comes up on my list, but you go for it right now.
Yep, Adisa Isaac, there's a lot I like about him, and I think he's really solid in most everything, and even above solid, above average even. I think he's very athletic. I think he's got some decent pass rush moves. I just don't think he's great at any one thing. And if I'm looking for, a high upside guy, I'm not sure he's that. I
Sure.
think he could kind of be a similar profile to JTS. And I think he's definitely more polished coming out of college, maybe more
I'd
polished
say so.
now.
I mean,
I
I
mean,
think he's right now more polished than his teammate.
I would absolutely agree with that. And I will talk about him
So,
very shortly.
yeah. Yeah.
Because they're actually very close for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely more polished, not as athletic. I prefer, and this is just a preference thing, I prefer to take a swing on higher upside guys. And I think there's upside to Isaac. I just don't think it's sky high upside.
That's fine. I think that's okay. I think he's, this is someone again that I think, even though I'm a bit higher on him, I think it's that 57 or a trade. This is someone where like a trade down I'd be okay with. But I would not be a fan in the first round, that's for sure.
Yeah. Did he clear that 9 RAS threshold?
I was looking it up right as you tell me, or right as you asked me, or just wrapped up your thought. Here, I have it right here. He had an 8.82.
Okay, so very close, but does not clear that top pick Jason Light threshold. Yeah. So even if it's like early second round in a trade back, he's not there. We saw that with Logan Hall, kind of kept the same line of at least a 9. So,
and that is he is a bit light. That's the other thing. He weighed in at 247, which is a bit light for an edge rusher.
Not terribly light, depending on.
It's not terrible. Rusher. It isn't edge like the NFL is getting lighter and lighter. You see linebackers getting smaller and smaller every year. It's just how the things are trending. But that's probably the big thing, bringing down his score.
And I don't think the RAS separates edge versus defensive end. I think they're all defensive end, and you can have 300 pounds. Like Will Golson is a defensive end.
Technically, yeah.
So, I mean, it doesn't really differentiate. So him being dinged by that, I don't put a ton of stock. I think players who are in his kind of mold typically range from that 245 to 260 on the heavy end kind of range.
No, I'm with you. Yeah. I like Isaac. We were talking a little bit before this. I was reading my sheet wrong. He's not as high as I mentioned prior, but he's still a bit higher than this for me. So I will talk about him in a little bit.
Yes, that's my number 7. Let's move on to number 6. Who you got?
Number 6. Mine is Marshawn Nealand. Okay. This is someone that the Buccaneers have been heavily linked to. I mean, Senior Bowl, Combine, top 30 visit, you name it. The Bucs have talked to him and have shown a lot of interest. I view him very similarly to Chris Braswell. I think he is good length, like good size, good projectables. But I just think he's kind of that's it right now. He has good power, but no pass rush plan, no counters, no real methodology to his madness, say. But, it pulled off because he was in the MAC, right? And he dominated. Right, baby. Yeah, that he dominated, that's for sure, which you need to do. But in terms of projectability, I just think there's a little bit of a road he needs to take.
Yeah, he just missed my top 8. He's currently my 9th ranked edge rusher.
Yeah,
But I kind of view him similar to Darius Robinson. He's like a Darius Robinson light.
sure.
He does test more as an edge than Robinson did, so athletically he makes more sense for the Bucs.
Yeah,
But kind of a similar player, defensive tackle slash edge, power profile. A lot of the things you said I agree with.
Mm.
And I definitely agree. He is highly on the Bucs radar. I would not
Right.
be shocked at all if he was their second round
Yep.
pick.
Yep.
He's just not my favorite player in this class.
Yeah, hey, that happens. You know,
Yeah.
he's not mine either. But like I said, I tried to gear it a bit more towards the Bucs to kind of understand what they're thinking, which is, you know, that holds a lot of weight in where he ended up on my board. I think if that wasn't a factor, he would be probably below Braswell.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I think if I were to shuffle all of these guys and who is most likely to be a Buck, he'd probably be my number 1. Like
Yeah.
if I were to bet on any edge rusher to come to Tampa
Yeah.
Bay next year, it's Marshawn Nealand.
Yeah, it's looking a lot like that. I mean, serious attention going his way from Tampa Bay.
And Jason Light does have a history of drafting from the MAC. I mean, Luke Gadecki from the MAC, Sean Murphy Bunting from the MAC. He likes smaller school players. He's not afraid to pull the trigger on them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's intriguing, and I know that there's a lot of people who like different edge rushers, but familiarize yourself with Marshawn Nealand. You know, it's about that time.
Yes, definitely agree. All right,
Who
so
is
I'll
your
move on
6?
to 6.
Yeah.
You mentioned Adisa Isaac's teammate. That's
Yeah.
my number 6, Chop Robinson.
Yeah.
So I said I really like the idea of high upside players, and Chop Robinson is exactly that. He is incredibly explosive off the snap. He gets a great jump, very Gerald McCoy-esque on how fast he is off the ball. And he has nice bend. So in terms of a speed, bendy edge rusher, he's got a very high ceiling. People talk about J.J. McCarthy, the quarterback from Michigan. They question him because he didn't throw a pass in the second half of the Penn State game. Well, Chop Robinson is why. It was not a JJ issue. It was a holy crap, my quarterback's going to die if I throw the ball.
You are not wrong.
So, I mean, it's one of those things that box scores don't tell the story. He absolutely derailed that game for Michigan.
Yeah.
And he has the power to do that in the NFL. The quickness, the speed, the bend, physical tools are A++ in that aspect.
Yep.
When you talk about pass rush plan and why you mentioned Braswell as being dinged for it in terms of not having one, Chop Robinson has even less of a pass rush plan.
He has none. It's crazy. He has none.
It's like he might as well not even have arms. He runs
none.
past guys and kills quarterbacks.
Yes.
There is no hand usage at all to speak of.
Correct.
And, you know, God help the NFL if he develops hand usage of any kind, because he could be devastating.
Yeah.
But at this point in a guy's career, I mean, they can learn a few more moves. They can become more technically refined, but not way more a lot of times. You kind of are what you are at this point. And Chop Robinson, dude, you got hands. Use them.
Bro, it's truly just get out of your stance and run around the tackle. Like, that's not a joke. That's how he plays the position. And that's not going to work in the NFL. Like, it's just not going to. So there's a lot of projection with Chop Robinson, but I mean, the traits are crazy. I mean, we saw it. My big hang up is that we saw it a couple years ago with Odafe Owe out of Penn State, right?
Yep.
It's the same prospect, right? And like, he's been good from what I know, but he hasn't like been outstanding.
Is Odafe Owe the one who didn't have any sacks his final year in college?
Yes, that is correct.
So yeah, very similar, because Chop Robinson had 4 last year. He has 11 career sacks in 3 seasons. Yeah. So, I mean, not stuff in the stat sheet by any means, but like I said, his game is not something the box score is always going to capture.
Yeah, correct. I remember, I think it was last year, I saw a tweet from John Ledyard, who does some awesome work with defensive line scouting. about the there's a cutoff. Edge rushers who historically have below 10 sacks in their career don't turn out great. And then ones that are above are typically the ones that succeed and do well. So he barely meets that threshold, but he meets it.
Yeah. It makes me uncomfortable because I do think he'll be in play at 26
Right.
because athletically he clears all the thresholds. In
Yep.
terms of, fit what the Bucs want their edge rusher to be, I think he'd be a great complement stylistically to Yaya Diaby.
Mm.
But I do think he is a high risk, high reward player, and we saw that a few years ago with Joe Tryon Shoyinka, and I definitely feel burned by it. I think the Bucs might too, but at the same time, he is, projection wise, he is someone who is expected to be a late first round pick.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, he falls right in that range of where they're drafting. So obviously it's going to be important how the board falls, but Marshawn Nealon in round 2 is, I feel, as likely as Chop Robinson in round 1.
Yeah, he would definitely be my number 2 on list of guys who are potential Bucs.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Yeah, my list, it was tough because I was like, man, I want to gear this towards the Bucs, but I also want my thoughts to fall in there. I don't want to be completely taken away. So it's like, it's kind of weird. But I mean, he was my 5. Chop's my 5. So I kind of just echo everything that we just talked about. Insane upside, just best edge rusher in the league upside, but it's going to take a long time for him to get there, I think.
If at all.
If at all, exactly. That's the risk. I don't think I'm really willing, if I were drafting, to take the risk of him not getting there when I think there are a lot safer options.
Yeah, it's one thing to take that risk at pick 32 right after you win the Super Bowl, like you did with
Right.
JTS.
Right.
It's another thing when you're kind of reshaping the identity of your team and you need a foundational piece.
And he does not. When I say, we've talked about it a little bit before, the Bucs timeline is currently get to the Super Bowl soon, right? They're trying to win relatively soon. I don't think he matches that timeline whatsoever.
No, he is a work in progress, to say the least.
Yeah.
All right, so Chop is your 5. Mine is Chris Braswell.
Yep.
We already talked about both of them for a little bit. Do you want to just move right into 4?
Sure. My 4 is Adisa Isaac. I think he has a lot more upside than you do. I think his burst and bend are very much so above average.
Yes.
And that athleticism, I think despite it not being a 9, I think a heavy part of that was the weight, and I think every other aspect of his game is very, very well rounded. He's much more ready to play in the NFL now than Chop Robinson, which I value highly for this Bucs team. And I think he's just in terms of projection, I think it's safer. I think there's a far better likelihood that he actually hits, whereas Chop Robinson, there's that very real possibility that he busts. But in terms of hand usage, burst, bend, finishing, Adisa Isaac's kind of got it all. And I think he's just a really, really solid, well-rounded prospect.
I absolutely agree. I think he's a good athlete, maybe even a very good athlete.
Of course. Yeah.
He's just not a freak show athlete.
No, that's fine. I'm okay with that if, on tape, if I see that you can shoot off the line of scrimmage and beat your offensive lineman, you don't have to be otherworldly, right? I mean, there are very few guys like Chop Robinson, but being in the RAS scale, what was it, an 8.8 is what he was?
That's what you said, yeah.
That's still elite.
Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah,
so that's 88th percentile. I mean, between that and 90th percentile, you're really just splitting hairs.
Yeah, for me, plenty. So I'm a big fan of Adisa Isaac. Like him a lot more than Chop. There's a gap there on my board.
I mean, in what you're giving up in upside, you're more than getting back in high floor.
Yes, absolutely. I think that, and like I just said, I think it fits their timeline a lot better.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I don't disagree with your logic. Like I said, I just tend to kind of favor those uppercut swings. That's
No,
more just a
yeah,
preference thing for me.
that I completely understand. That makes plenty of sense. I'm trying to find my that's like one of the things of my like scouting where I'm trying to balance, like what's the medium between upside and ready to play? Like where do I find it?
Yeah, it's hard. It's all
Yeah,
calculated risk.
yeah, 100%.
And as much as I like that, I probably would be too much of a coward to draft Chop Robinson unless it was at that 57th pick, because I'm not willing to take that risk. I can't wait to see what team does, and I'm going to be really excited to watch it. But
Yeah,
man, I would not want to bet my job on it.
yeah, no, it's risky for sure.
All right.
All right, you're 4.
My number 4, and this one I think I'm higher on than you, because that was your number 4, and I think we have the same top 3. My
Okay,
number
did I?
4 is Austin Booker from Kansas.
Oh yeah, he missed out on my top 8.
Okay, so
You're a
he's
good bit.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah, I am pretty high on Austin Booker. He's definitely one of my guys.
yeah.
And he's kind of similar to Adisa Isaac. I don't think he's quite the athlete. In fact, he looks like beanpole skinny sometimes when I watch him.
Yeah. He's really tall though, right?
Let me pull up his res.
I'm pretty sure he's like 6'7", if I'm not mistaken.
He is 6'4".
Okay, so I
tall.
am mistaken. All right, maybe
so 6'4", 240.
Yeah, maybe him just being skinny on tape made me like subconsciously go, yeah, he's probably tall.
Mm-hmm. But he has great hand usage. He's got almost 34-inch arms.
Yeah, don't teach length.
Yeah. And he can use those hands really well. He's got an absolute plethora of pass rush moves. And I love the way he sheds blocks. And that's something that it goes way beyond like combine, where he tested fairly average. I think he has a 7 RAS. So that'd be more of a second-round pick, definitely not a first-round pick for the Bucs.
Yeah, yeah.
But in terms of being technically refined, even though this was his first year of true starting action in college football, he looks like a polished player. And maybe there's a little bit of fool's gold there, but the tape don't lie. Kid's got some hands. And he's not the high upside guy, but he's kind of like Adisa Isaac. I think he can kind of come in, contribute right away, and be a quality player. I think you see Isaac similar to how I see Booker.
Sure. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I just looked. My list goes Robinson, Booker, Trice. So like 8, 9, 10. Trice rounds out my 10, and Booker's my 9, which is like round 3-ish area, which is I think probably where he ends up getting selected, roughly. I know the Bucs have. Did they meet with him at the Combine or was it the Senior Bowl?
Oh, I don't know the answer to that. Let me look it up.
I kind of want to say Combine because I feel like I remember us on our Combine episode talking about how they formally interviewed someone that you liked in the edge room. I can't remember exactly though. But
pulling up the article from Pewter Report right now. The best piece of work they do all year is tracking this. I go to it all the time. They did meet with Booker at the Combine.
Okay. All right. That's what I thought. So there is some mutual, there's some interest there. So always got to take that into account until they draft someone that they've never talked to. Then you're like, well, okay.
But that is the outlier. They do typically show their hand. Jason Light does not have a good poker face.
No. And, I was looking at it earlier in terms of top 30 visits. I think we're going to talk about this on another day when the full list has, formed. But they typically get someone that they've brought in on a top 30 visit.
Yeah, they haven't had a lot of those. I think there's only been like 6 reported. They need to hurry up with those so I can start really piecing some puzzle pieces together here.
It's either they don't really have a ton of people they're interested in, or they're just playing ghost again. Who knows?
They just got sick of people like us pegging their pick every year.
So yeah,
Jason Light's really trying to be a little more coy
switch it up. Yeah, they're trying to switch it up a little bit, but
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're into our top 3, and I think these 3 are a clear tier above for me. I won't speak for you, but I think it's a different stratosphere for these 3.
Yeah, these are all first round prospects. They're all very, very good and should be treated as instant impact day one starters in the NFL, in my opinion.
I absolutely agree. So these are the guys you're hoping fall to pick 26.
Yeah,
Maybe, probably won't be there. Definitely all of them, if not maybe one will be there.
I really hope one's there. I really hope one is
That
there.
that's just those crossing the fingers, sending up a prayer kind of things.
Yeah. Um, I don't know what order you have them in, but here, we'll just start with three. My
Okay,
three is Jared Verse.
okay. He's actually my one,
He's your one. Okay, that's funny because
but
I think your three is going to be my one.
I think you're right. But you did
uh,
order them for more likely fits to the Bucks, and I think Verse is probably the worst fit of my top three for the
I would
Bucks.
concur. I think he's still really friggin' good, but
Really good.
yeah, I think he's like if you take Chris Braswell, take a little bit of the length, and then add some like pass rush prowess, you get Jared Verse. Like I think he's super strong, has a lot of violence in his hands, um, strong at the point of attack, but I think the length you can see kind of affects him on tape. I don't think his arms are the longest.
What did he test at the combine? Did he test?
I don't know if he tested. I want to say he did, but I'm not certain.
Oh, I
I
got it
can
right
look it
here.
up. Okay.
9.53.
I mean, you can't beat that. I mean, you can, but like that's pretty darn close.
Right. To be fair, since 1987, 77 edge rushers have beat that. but
Yeah, like I said, you can beat that, but um,
but
that's
that's like 40 years worth of data.
that's near perfect. Yeah, that's 40 years and only 77 are better. Like that's some crazy stuff. Um,
Yeah, that's like
yeah,
three a year.
his arms are 33 and a half inches, so um, they're gonna be shorter than tackles pretty much. So he's gonna really have to rely on his hands, and he does. He has great hands. It's just gonna be a bit more of a challenge in the NFL.
Yeah, I view him very similar to an Aiden Hutchinson type.
Sure.
Uh, Technically refined hands, a little bit shorter arms, but he's got a power profile. He's got
Yep.
quickness. He's got bend. Really, I think he's going to be a very good 4-3 throwback kind of defensive end as opposed to like a more outside linebacker kind of edge.
Yeah.
And
That's
yeah,
I
that's
mean, his. I said it last week. He bullied Graham Barton.
yeah. And Graham Barton is a very good athlete. He is not
Yeah.
soft.
Yeah, he is. He bullied him though. Like he worked into his chest and like put him on the ground a couple times.
Yeah, so I think someone's going to get a really, really good player with Verse. He just
Yep.
doesn't fit what the Bucks are looking for with a 4-3 kind of linebacker.
Yeah. I'm with you. I am
His
with you.
his agilities are where he came up short in his testing. So,
Mhm.
dropping into coverage and being able to move like Todd Bowles likes to do, it's not going to suit him at all.
Yep. No, you're correct. You're correct.
So that's my one. And again, I didn't sort them in accordance to the Bucks. Just in a vacuum, Jared Verse I think is the best.
Sure.
So my three, I think, is going to be your one, like you said.
Yeah.
And for me, that's Leatu Latu.
Yeah, he's my one. He is my one.
And for me, a lot of it's medical. And
Yeah.
that's a question that can't be answered from watching tape. What we
Right.
do, we don't get access to the interviews or the medicals. That's something that's just got to be reported out, and the medicals aren't typically reported out.
Yeah. His medicals are definitely like why I kind of look at it as like if there is one to fall to the Bucks, it's going to be him.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're pretty extensive. Didn't he retire at one
Yes.
point? Yeah.
Medically retired. Had to leave
Yeah.
the University of Washington because they said he would not be healthy enough to play for them ever.
Correct. Yeah. So that's some serious stuff. That's for sure. Then he ended up going to UCLA and being okay. But yeah, those medicals are no joke. They're very clearly gonna probably take him off some teams' boards completely, which, in my opinion, only helps the Bucks. So
Yeah, if they're comfortable with that, he would be a slam dunk pick.
I mean, Dude, I don't think I've seen an edge rusher with as good of a pass rush plan as he has.
His hands are fantastic.
Oh
Not
my
just
God.
not just the moves, but the placement. How he
Oh
just
my God.
shocks tackles with his hands and their
Yeah.
chest.
Yeah.
He's a power player without a power profile.
Every single move is calculated and precise. And it's truly like he does not misplay his hand. It's crazy. I was watching him, like I always liked him. But until I sat down and watched him, I never truly appreciated how gifted of an edge rusher this guy is. I like burst, he's got it. Pass rush plan, pass rush moves, hands, he's got it. He's got some good bend. I think like the one thing he's probably truly lacking is that just like natural power. But I don't think it's bad. Like I just don't think it's like Verse level or Braswell level, you know?
And he has the size to be a power player. He's 6'4",
Yeah.
260. He's not
Frame perfect. No, but he's like that frame with a finesse style of rushing, which is kind of crazy. But
I questioned how good of an athlete he was going into the combine because he
sure.
doesn't look super explosive or super powerful. He gets the job done. But he did clear that 9 threshold that the Bucs look for,
Yep.
9.3. For again, that's the 93rd percentile of athlete at his position.
Yep. Yeah,
So
that's
more than clears.
Yeah, I think a big part of that athleticism questions is just like him setting up his rush, right? Because like a lot of the times he'll just kind of pop up and kind of just be patient, right? And then he'll
Mm-hmm.
two-hand swipe and swim over the tackle's like turning body because he's already past him. But yeah, he's very, very talented.
Yeah, he has such a natural feel for what opposing tackles are going to do.
Yep.
They stick their arm out to shock him and punch him in the chest. He's already countering that before he even makes contact.
Yep. Yep. And it's like we talked about it, like in terms of his like strength and his power. When he's engaged in a block, he has the strength to get off of it and like make a tackle to the ball carrier. It's top 10 player for me in this class. Like he is outstanding.
Yeah, I think in terms of film, he's got the best film of all the edge rushers.
I'm with you 100%.
Might be trying to think. He might be the best film of any defensive player I watched. Johnny Newton's the only one who I think is in the conversation for me.
I was going to say Johnny Newton's pretty darn good.
And we'll talk about him here when we do
Yeah.
defensive line.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of what he's done on tape, fit with the Bucs, I think he'd be an A+.
Yep. Big fingers crossed that he falls.
All right, and then our consensus number 2 guy kind of fell in the middle of both of us.
Dallas Turner. Look at that. Another freak athlete, he's really, really explosive. I just think he has in terms of the explosive 2 in this class, Turner and Chop, Turner has much more of a idea of how to rush the passer.
Oh yeah, way more polished, way more productive. But I think he's every bit as explosive. I mean, his RAS is a 9.5. I think that's pretty similar to Chop.
And
he's just undersized.
Like, he's 200. Yeah.
6'2", 247. But he does have almost 34.5-inch arms. So in terms of arm length, which is what matters when you're talking about controlling your opponent's chest, he's got it. He's good there.
Yep. The speed to power is really commendable with him too. For someone with his athletic profile, speed to power is something that you always look for in an edge rusher. And when someone can convert it, looking pretty good, and he does it well. Because I think all the time edge rushers are setting up to just defend the speed rush, and then he just gets into their chest and pushes them back, because he's strong and has really long arms.
Yeah, and I don't know if he's just raw power strong, but when you control someone's chest, you're stronger than them.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely.
I do think this is going to be the first edge rusher off the board. I do think he's going to be a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any chance the Bucs can get to him. In a crazy universe, maybe verse, but I don't think he's a great fit. Really, Latu's the guy we're hoping for.
Yeah, Latu of the top three is the best case scenario for Tampa Bay at 26. And if I'm being honest, I think that's the only edge rusher I would take at 26.
I absolutely agree. I think there's nice depth when talking about Booker, Braswell, Isaac,
Sure.
Robinson, all those guys, even Nealand.
Yeah.
Those are guys who I think are second round players.
Yeah.
Not that all will go in the second round, but
yeah, there's the tier one of the top three we just talked about. And then in my book, there's like the trade down to like 38. And this is who I would look at there. And then you got the guys who at 57 you could look at. And then maybe a guy like Booker or maybe Nealand in the third round,
Ideally, yeah. And I think most people project those as third round players. I think we're just a little bit higher on some of those guys.
No, 100%. I'm with you.
All right, so we took a lot of time to talk edge because that is the Bucs' big need here.
Yeah.
Let's touch a little bit on defensive line. I do think it's a dark horse candidate for the Bucs if someone falls and the value's there, because I don't think either one of us are in love with what Logan Hall brings to the table.
No, definitely not. And this is honestly, it's a sneaky good D-line class. I like a lot of the lower options that we got here.
It is sneaky good. I was kind of finalizing this over the week, and there are some guys here in this second, third round who I really like as either a depth piece or some sneaky good starters.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so want to start at 8 again?
Yeah, so I'll start at 8. This is a guy who I think is in no way a fit for the Bucs because what he does, the Bucs already have locked down.
I know he's also my 8.
Yeah, is it T'Vondre Sweat?
It's T'Vondre Sweat. Yeah.
Yeah. Huge, big dude,
giant. It's really all he does. If I'm being honest.
Like we're talking so big, he went into the combine and said, "You're not weighing me."
Yeah, no,
did he weigh at the combine? Because I know he skipped the Senior Bowl.
Here, let me look. You talk about him a little bit. I'll look up the Raz.
He did weigh at the combine, 366.
Oh my God, he's so big.
And he trimmed it down to get the 366.
I'm sorry, man. That's just not playable.
Yeah, I do feel that way sometimes. He's too big. And I think he's got decent hands for a big man. But I think sometimes he doesn't play to his power, which if you're going to be that size, you can't not play to your size. Like that's what you are, is size.
Yeah, exactly. Like you see it, like obviously I'm sitting here saying that that's too big and then Vita Vea is like 350 pounds. But first of all, Vita Vea moves way better than T'Vondre Sweat. Way better. It's not even close. And two, Vita Vea knows when he needs to get low, right? Or just sit in a space and take on 2 blocks at once, right? Like he's not trying to rush the passer when he doesn't need to. He's a smart player. He knows how to use his size. But I think that the big discerning factor is his athleticism.
Yeah, did not test well at all. I mean, you could say he tests well relative to his size.
But, like, I don't care at that point.
Right. I mean, he ran like a 5.3 40. And I can tell you, I've run my 40s faster than that.
Yeah. I mean, his 10-yard split was almost 2 seconds, man. It was 1.8 seconds. Like,
it was like just Glacier-esque.
Yeah, it's just like in when you need speed off the line, he's not going to give it to you.
Yeah, so I know a lot of people like Isaac or like Sweat because he's huge, and some teams are going to really value that nose tackle kind of position as a run stuffer. The Bucs are more than set there, and I just don't like him like other people like him.
Right. Yeah, I'm 100% with you. I think he's like, people are trying to look at him as like a more than 366-pound nose tackle, and I just don't think that's going to be how he is in the NFL. I think he's just going to be a gap stuffer.
And they want him to be DJ Reader, and I just don't think he has that power run stuffing ability. I mean, he does sometimes, but he's not nearly that good.
No, I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. I don't think he has it in his locker, with all due respect.
Yeah. So we're lower the consensus. He'll probably go second, maybe early third, but
yeah,
I have quite a few higher than him.
Oh yeah, I mean we have 7 higher than him to be precise. Yeah. Yeah. Devondre Sweat, not a Creamsicle Chronicles preferred prospect. So what are we on to? 7 now?
Yeah, who is your number 7?
My number 7 is Dwayne Carter from Duke.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah, I don't know where you have him, but good size, great athleticism, and I think he's going to be right around that range in the 3rd round where the Bucs might be able to justify taking a defensive tackle.
Yeah, he's my number 6, but he's very, very close to my number 7.
Yeah, that's fine. Sorry, I'm just pulling up my notes. I accidentally closed my page. Here we are. Power for days. Like if you're looking at Devondre Sweat and saying that guy's strong, watch Carter, please. He has great power. Where's his RAS?
Let me pull it up.
I'm terribly unprepared. I'm sorry. Here we go. 8.93. He ran a 5-second 40, jumped 32 inches in the broad, or in the vertical, 9 feet in the broad. Had a 1.73 unofficial 10-yard split. I think the knock on him is his height. He's only 6'2", but he hits the 300-pound threshold, and that just means natural pad level, in my opinion. He can get into offensive lineman's chest easier, and use that strength that he has to disrupt and get into the backfield.
Yeah, you could say 6'2", 300 is undersized defensive tackle, especially when we're talking about a power profile.
Right.
And I think that is part of my knock on him. I don't think he's someone who excels at anything because it's hard to be a power profile small tackle, and he's not this super twitched up Kalijah Cansey type either, who's just out quick everyone. But he is a good athlete.
He is a good for what he brings, like what his projection is. He's a good athlete. Probably a rotational piece, but I think a good player nonetheless.
He's someone who I would love to sit down with in an interview. Watching him, he comes off as like the Energizer Bunny. I was watching some of his tape, and Duke would make a stop, he'd make a play, something. He would jump up, like not get up, but he would get up and jump and then sprint off the field. Like in terms of motor and effort, dude seems super intense and super high energy. So I think he's going to be a great locker room guy. He's someone who I think would be a really nice backup to Kalijah Cansey. But like you said, he's a rotation guy. He's a depth piece. But someone I like a lot, just not necessarily in Tampa.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I don't know if he fits exactly what the Bucs are looking for, but just because of that size, because I already, you need someone a bit bigger. But yeah, I'm with you.
All right. So again, he was my number 6, but he was very, very close to my number 7. And that is Clemson's Rook Arroaro.
Yeah. He's a bit higher for me.
Yeah, I think he's one of those high ceiling guys who I really like. 6'4", just shy of 300, 294, but super athletic, twitchy. I think he has an absolute high ceiling as a pass rusher. Don't know that he'll ever be a great run stuffer, but that's okay because I want him as a pass rusher. And I think you can use him as a 3-tech. I think you can play with him as a 5-tech, kind of move him up and down the line a little bit. I love that versatility. He's just someone I think really highly of. And kind of describing him compared to Carter, I probably would reorder them because I do think he has a higher ceiling than Carter. But like I said, they're super close, and I just really like the potential he brings. And I think he would be a nice fit for the Bucs.
Yeah, I'm with you. I lied. This is exactly where I have him. So we flipped. your 7 is my 6, and my 6 is your 7. So I do have Rook here. I thought he was my 5th, but he's not. He's my 6th. I'm with you. I think the upside's really nice. The size isn't great. Like, he's got great height, but he's pretty light, which severely limits his impact in the run game. Like you said, he has only been playing football for like 4 years. I think he started when he was a junior in high school. So just another thing to like write in your book in terms of upside. But super disruptive pass rusher. You could see it all season on tape. Speed for days, good length. But I don't think he's what the Bucs are looking for. There's one guy I have in mind who's just like maybe my ideal Bucs pick for defensive tackle.
I think I'm the same one, and I think he was my dark horse pick for the first round.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll keep it going.
Yeah.
Just mention it when you think. I'll mention mine. So
yeah, I think
so
I'm
what are we
higher
on?
on this player than the consensus. We are on 5 because we had Rook and Carter 6, 7.
Yes. Okay. All right. Go for it.
So my 5 is Darius Robinson.
Okay. Yeah.
You had him as an edge. I see him more as a defensive lineman.
Right.
But he is kind of inside-outside versatile. I do like what he can do. Again, like you'd said earlier, he's just not a good fit for the Bucs. I think a team like the Lions could take him in the first round, and that'd be just fine because he fits their scheme more. But in terms of Tampa Bay, I just don't see that happening.
No, I talked about him earlier. I like what he's able to do, but not for the Bucs because that athleticism is going to knock him down for sure. Hold on, my computer's not working right now. Give me a second. I apologize.
Oh, no.
Yeah, my tabs are not being friendly. I'll do that, and then I will do this. And then, oh, come on now. I'm very sorry, viewers. This is not great.
Do you want me to go on to my number 4 while you're...
Yeah, go to your 4.
Okay, so my number 4 is Chris Jenkins from Michigan.
Okay.
He is someone I would actually love for the Bucs. I think he's going to go too high to the Bucs to invest in him because he would fill the role of Will Golston. He is what I want Logan Hall to be. He is a 5-tech, so he's not a 3-tech typically. He played it in college, but I think he projects more as a 5-tech. Great run defender. Yep. Length, strength. He has all the physical tools. He just doesn't really have a pass rush skill set. He really didn't flash the ability to get to the quarterback in college at all. I think his hand usage in terms of getting off blocks is good. So I don't know if that's a scheme thing in Michigan or if that's a Jenkins thing, because I remember saying the same thing about their tackle last year, Mazi Smith. Big, athletic, had good hands, but never really rushed the passer. So I'm not sure if that's something that Michigan teaches or what, but he has not shown any ability to rush the quarterback, really.
Yeah. He is he's also my 4. So I'll just talk about him now. I pretty much just echo everything you said. Love like his size, athleticism, run blocking, hands. The pass rush is lacking. But in terms of like a day 2 option, I like him a good bit. I think he fit the Bucs pretty nice, truthfully.
Yeah. He's not the one who I was thinking of, who I think would be a grand slam pick for the Bucs because he doesn't bring that pass rush. But I would love a player with his skill set to replace Logan Hall.
100%. I mean, I think it's, I think the Cansey pick was like, okay, I messed up with Logan Hall. We'll make up for it here. And I feel like this could be to plug the other side, right? I think he can play that. What is it? 5-tech?
Yeah, I think he's a natural 5-tech who can do some 3-tech work.
I'm with you. So I like what he brings. Would love to see a bit of pass rush development for sure, but that's all right. So I'm going to back in time. My five's Fisk, Braden Fisk. I think he's good. I'm just very concerned about the length, like what he's able to do, you know?
Yeah, let me pull him up real quick. What did he measure in at?
Yeah. His pass rush, though, crazy. It's really, really good. I'm a big fan of what he brings in terms of,
31-inch arms. That is very short.
It's very short, which is why he's my 5. If he had like 2-inch longer arms, he'd probably be a top 3 guy for me. But he's aggressive, high motor, really good pass rush plan. The arms are super alarming.
Yeah, seeing it on paper, it's not good.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah, I will get to him.
Yeah, you did. Okay. I was going to say, did you rank him?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I really like Braden Fisk.
Yeah, I think he's really good. I just think the ceiling's a bit limited. That's all.
All right, so that brings us to our top 3.
Yep.
And this is where I think it kind of goes a little wonky because I think mine's going to look very different than yours.
Probably.
So my number 3 is actually a lot of the draft community's consensus number 1. And that would be Byron Murphy from Texas.
Oh, my God. Okay. I thought you were going to really make me confused for a second.
Oh, no. I think we both have the same number 1.
Yeah, we definitely do.
I don't see how there's any conversation about it. I think he's number 1 with a bullet. And I don't understand why everyone projects him to be the second defensive tackle off the board. But
no, I'm with you. He's pretty good.
But Byron Murphy, Texas, very widely considered the top defensive tackle in the draft. Here's my thing.
Sure.
He was great in college. He played next to T'Vondre Sweat. He's a power player who is small.
Yep.
I don't love that. He was super productive in college, but how is that going to translate when you are 6 foot, 290 pounds? Let me pull up his exact res.
Yeah, the profile, it's like Cansey size with like just a power rusher's profile. Or like way he plays the game. Skill set, yeah. It's really odd.
6 feet tall, 297 pounds. So he's bigger than Cansey, but height-wise, comparable.
No, 100%. I still think it's a bit odd.
Yeah, and he's very good in college, really good tape. I don't love the projection of a small power player. If you're going to be small, you got to be super twitched up, and I don't think he is, even though he tested really well at the combine. So I definitely have concerns with the way he projects. I think he's going to go in the first round. I think he's going to go fairly early in the first round, but he was not one who I love just because I don't necessarily see it working in the NFL.
He's also my 3.
Oh, wow. Hot takes on Creamsicle Chronicle. We are gashing the number 1 defensive tackle prospect.
So that means, though, my 2 you didn't rank.
Maybe I didn't watch him.
Okay.
We're gonna have to find out.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Was it the same concern for you with Murphy?
Oh, 100%. It's just a very strange profile, and I don't see how it projects successfully.
Yeah, we need to start putting this out in the world because I haven't seen any of that criticism on Murphy. I've seen a lot of people say, hey, I like Newton better, but it's not like, hey, I'm worried about Murphy.
Yeah, it's more like Newton's better rather than Murphy is just scary.
Yeah, not bad because he's a good prospect.
Yeah,
it's just
he is.
I have concerns.
There's a niche for him. It's just particular.
Yeah, I mean, there is a athletic, twitched up pass rush profile, and there is a length and strength profile, and both can be very effective rushing the passer. But if you are a short, non-twitched up guy, I have questions.
No, 100%, absolutely. So what are we on? Number 2 now?
Number 2.
Go for it.
For me, it's Braden Fisk.
Ooh.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And he was the one who I thought is a dark horse first-round target for the Bucs.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I think he fits what they're looking for really well. One, I think he could play the 5 technique.
All right.
Super athletic. It's absolutely great athlete. What did he test at? I just had it up.
Yeah, it was really elite. It's straight up. If he had longer arms, he would be 2 for me, no doubt about it. Like he's that good in my opinion, but the arms are scary.
9.88 RAS. So basically the 99th percentile of all defensive tackles.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah, so when I watched him, his hand usage is very, very good. And again, you're right. The short arms, there's some question on how that'll translate to the NFL. But this is a Trust the Tape podcast, and it's very similar to Kalijah Cansey last year. Short, he had 30-inch arms. Fisk has 31-inch arms. So
right.
If you can use those arms well, then I'm not as worried about it.
Exactly. Yeah. There's definitely. I don't think Fisk is currently what Cansey was last year.
I'd agree.
I think Cansey was far more advanced in terms of how I think Cansey learned how to adapt to his size very well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of that's credit to the defensive line coach at Pitt, Charlie Partridge, who I think is now with the Colts. And, that's no disrespect to Odell Haggins at Florida State, who's another hell of a defensive line coach. But Fisk was only at Florida State for a year. He was at Western Michigan prior to that. So that's going from somewhere where you're just, if you're that good, you're going to dominate everyone into a system where you're going to have to adapt a bit more. And Fisk still dominated. I just think being in a system for a bit longer is going to help him a lot. So I think going to I'm being honest, the Colts make so much sense.
They would.
They need a D lineman. They got a good D line coach now, and they got a guy who needs maybe a little bit of help in terms of learning how to use what he's given with. So
do the Colts need a D lineman? I thought they had. I thought they got Grover Stewart back.
Did they? Oh.
This is not a Colts podcast. I was not prepared for this.
I like Anthony Richardson.
But I think what the Bucs could do with him, in the way Todd Bowles wants to move guys like Cansey and a guy like Fisk around, you can just be interchangeable with them. Put one on the outside, put one on the inside, switch them up. Have them stunt, have them twist. They have outrageous athletic ability to improve the pass rush, and Fisk does project as a pass rusher. It's not the edge pass rusher that we're expecting, but the goal of this offseason is to improve the pass rush with the front four, and he can be a starter in doing that. So that's why I see him as a dark horse fit in the first round. Just his athletic testing, his pass rush profile. He reminds me a lot when I watched him of Chris Jones.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. And I was gonna say, I think the biggest difference is Jones had like 34-inch arms, so huge.
I was gonna say, I think there's like a very different. I just think Jones, because of that, is going to be able to hold off blocks for so much longer.
Agreed. And I think Jones was stronger coming out of college, a little bit more of a power profile.
Yeah.
But the way they use their hands at the college level and the burst they have off the line of scrimmage, very reminiscent.
Sure. That's fine. By the way, looked it up. Shout out Cody Felger of Colts Wire. Number one need heading into the offseason, and it is interior defensive line depth. Because I guess when Grover Stewart was out, they sucked. So they need someone.
Didn't suck enough to lose to the Bucs, so joke's on us.
Okay. I don't know. That's uncalled for. All right.
So who is your number 2? I'm really excited to hear this.
Very similar reasoning. Love the pass rush profile. He's got good length. Let me make sure I'm not being stupid there. He's got good length, just a bit light. Think he could add a bit more strength. That is Michael Hall from Ohio State.
I actually haven't watched him yet.
Okay. So
tell me about him. I'm excited now.
Twitched up, really quick off the line of scrimmage, great pass rush moves, no strength. He's not a great run defender. He's got 33.5-inch arms, so you take what's good. Like, this is why he's higher than Braden Fisk for me, is you take what's good with Fisk and you give him 2.5-inch longer arms, right? That's what I kind of see Michael Hall in. He's here. I'll read 9.24 on the RAS. He's 6'3", 290 pounds, so he's still like that undersized, mold. But we've seen the Bucs kind of gravitate towards that before. He only put up 24 reps on the bench, which kind of matches the not great run defender, not great strength runner thing. But he had a 33-inch broad or vertical, 9 and 9.3-inch broad, ran a 4.78 40, 2.8 10-yard 20-yard split, and a 1.69 10-yard split. So he's incredibly explosive. The pass rushing ability, swim moves, double swipes, rip moves. You name it, it's on the tape. The explosiveness and the bend is really attractive, and I think kind of looking at what the Bucs tried to do with Logan Hall and Kalijah Cansey, that is get explosiveness on the interior. I think this could be someone they kind of look at and see as someone that they could pair with Cansey and really get a twitched up middle that can rush the passer anytime.
See, now I'm going to have to go watch him. Now he's a must watch.
I'm a fan, man. I think he's pretty good. He's still there's only one first round interior defensive lineman, truthfully. But for what Michael Hall does, I think he's pretty good at it.
Yeah, he and I think the guy from LSU are two I did not get around to. Just knowing that defensive tackle isn't really a huge need, and I kind of projected those as like true 3 techs, where kind of Cansey already fills that role. So I haven't seen him yet, but now I will.
Yeah. Oh, this is another thing I wanted to say. Michael Hall had a great week at the Senior Bowl. One of the only people to kind of stop him, Jackson Powers Johnson.
Good player, that Jackson Powers Johnson.
I wonder if he is.
seems to be sliding a little bit in a lot of projections. Could be there.
I like it. Projections mean nothing. But
yeah, if people get like 8 first-round picks right, then they're one of the best projectors in the business.
Yeah, they don't. No, trust me. It's the draft process is a crazy one.
Reminds me, I have to check my email for that huddle report email that's going to drop.
Ooh, yeah, I got to get back in on that.
Yeah, so I look forward to getting 5 first-round picks right this year.
Hey, I think you mean 32.
All right, so let's talk about the crown jewel of this defensive tackle class.
Oh my gosh. Jason Light, bring him home. He's from St. Pete, man.
Could you imagine Villa, Cansey, and Newton?
Johnny Newton.
Just wild.
I don't think there's a bad thing to say about him.
He's a little undersized is the worst I'll say. 6'1", 304. I don't care either. He's great.
Above 300 pounds, he's fine.
Do you have a comp for him? I've seen some people comp him to Kalijah Cansey. That's not where I vibe with him.
No, he's heavier than Cansey.
He is. And I don't think he's quite as twitchy.
No, I don't think so either. Hold on, let me look up something.
Because I know when I watch him,
hold on.
I see. Oh, okay. I'll keep it.
I want to see what someone weighed in at the combine, and if it was close, it is my comp.
I bet it's gonna be the same one.
Please, computer, please. Yeah, Jeffrey Simmons.
Oh, okay. That's not where I was going. I really like Simmons coming out, though. He was like a top 5 prospect for me.
Simmons was my number 1 prospect. I love Jeffrey Simmons.
If he hadn't punched that chick in the face, he would have gone top 10 for sure.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, not a good look, but good football player.
Great football player. Yeah, but similar. He was 304 at the combine, 6'4", so he's a bit taller, but similar size. But again, I think Simmons is that kind of like twitched up, great pass rush plan profile, violent hands, strong guy, and I see a lot of that in Newton. Who's your comp?
My comp is a familiar face in the NFC South, and that's Grady Jarrett.
Oh, that's a really good one. Yeah,
Very, very similar size. 6'1",
yeah,
304. That was Jarrett coming out.
that's a
Newton
really
is
good one.
6'1", 304.
That's a really, really good one. I like that a lot.
They can win with strength, can win with quickness, technique. It's all there. So
Yep.
I really think he's going to step in and be an impact player. Probably when I make my bets, he's going to be my pick for Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I'm probably there with you.
Yeah, we'll see how some fits work out, but I think if not Latu, he's the best defensive player in the class.
Like I have multiple times been like doing mock drafts, and I'm like, man, if Newton can just fall, please. Like, I don't even care if Powers Johnson's there. Give me Newton, man. That would be so fun. Are you friggin' kidding me? Oh my gosh, that would be electric.
There's never been a more exciting group of defensive tackles. Villa, Cansey, Newton.
Yeah, and I mean, that's an exaggeration. If Powers Johnson's there, you take Powers Johnson.
Sure.
But, yeah, but it was just for the
but there's no way he
embellishment.
makes it to the 20s. I know people have him below Murphy, and I can't see him getting past a team like the Bengals or the Rams. I mean, could you imagine the Rams replacing Aaron Donald with Johnny Newton?
Oh, dude, that would be disgusting.
It's too smart not to happen.
And like I'm someone that likes to think I'm pretty good at scouting defensive linemen, right? I think it's so obvious that this guy is number one.
Yeah, I don't think it's close at all.
Yeah, I think he's the best defensive lineman overall in this class. Edge, D-line, I don't care.
I don't get why people have Murphy consensusly above him. I feel like there's a select group of draft people who like Newton better, but everywhere you look, it's Murphy.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I think it's probably because one played at Texas, if I'm being honest, and the other played at Illinois. But dude, Newton, bring him home. Bring him back to the Bay.
That would be wild. I would love it.
God, he's so good. Like just the explosiveness into just like pass rush immediately is great.
And I am a firm believer that elite strengths win championship. That is an elite defensive line in the making.
Yeah, I mean, even if you get an edge rusher, it probably is also, but
depends on the edge rusher.
Of course, that's true. But like if you add Newton to Vita Vea, Kalijah Cansey, Yaya Diaby, buddy.
Quarterbacks are dead.
And I think Newton is a guy that you could just stick on the outside. Straight up, I think he could run stand up. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, I don't have combine numbers for him. He didn't test at the combine, which is a real bummer. But yeah, I think he can do it all.
The explosiveness is so evident.
So that's a pipe dream that'll never happen. But there it is.
We can wish. Oh man, he's so good. If you haven't, like, I don't even care if you don't really scout. Just watch some Johnny Newton. You'll come away better.
I did want to give one shout out because I know we have a lot of Florida following, obviously. Probably includes a decent chunk of Miami Hurricane fans.
Yeah, Leonard
Taylor.
Yeah.
Hurricane fans, I want to look you dead in the eye, and I want you to hear this. Your boy stinks. It's not good.
Yes.
Warm body.
I love it. Okay, I thought you were going to say he was good, and I was going to have to disagree.
He is not good. He's just there.
I love it.
So I don't mean, for y'all to be catching strays, but we have to have this heart-to-heart talk. You stink. Your boy's not good.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I like McKinley Jackson. Did you watch McKinley Jackson?
I have not watched McKinley Jackson. Couldn't even tell you what team he plays for.
He's like my next one. I think he's pretty good.
Didn't even know there was a McKinley Jackson.
A&M, like a nose tackle.
I'm a sucker for nose tackles.
He's not like your prototypical nose tackle, but he played nose.
Okay, so kind of like Byron Murphy.
Yeah.
He played a surprising amount of nose for a guy who's like 6 feet tall.
But Byron Murphy McKinley Jackson doesn't force himself into a nose role. He still is like he's just a defensive tackle. but he's just strong. So he's like a normal player.
You know, I really like that the Bucs brought back Greg Gaines, but
Yeah,
trench play is my favorite, and I'm a little sad
yeah,
the
me
Bucs don't
too.
have a bigger need on the defensive line.
I know it's like the Bucks. Everywhere you look, it's like you have your trench needs on the O line and then your edge rusher needs. But other than that, it's all like skill positions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, wide receiver. There's been a lot of wide receiver talk recently because of Keon Coleman, um, who we'll talk about next week. I'm pretty sure, right?
Yes, next week we're going back to the
Yeah,
offensive side of the ball.
yeah.
Receivers, tight ends, quarterbacks.
Quarterbacks. Yeah. So the pass catchers and the pass throwers is who we'll be talking about. We'll definitely spend a good amount of time, probably the majority of the time, on wide receivers and tight ends. Probably just wide receivers, but tight ends. That's another one. The Bucs kind of need a tight end. So there's a lot. There's a lot, and you're right. I wish the D line got some attention.
Yeah, because it is a pretty nice class, top to bottom.
Yeah, it is. It's not bad. It's really not. But um, anything else you want to add before we close it out?
That will do it. Just tell the people where they can find you, and let's get out of here till next week.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at NFL Ballard. You can find JT on Twitter just as he added it there at Icewater Olson, or you can find us on the Creamsicle Chronicles podcast at Creamsicle Crew. That is crew with a K, correct?
Yes, the
Yes.
Buccaneer way of spelling it.
Yeah, the Buccaneer way of spelling it. We'll tweet updates about anything that might come up on there. But other than that, you can find us both here every Friday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. We always love doing it, and we look forward to the next one always. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see y'all next week. And as always, go Bucs.
Go Bucs!